All right. All right.
There
Hey,
you go.
there we are. We're live.
Hi.
Hey, Andy. Awesome. So it's so great to finally meet you. I've been seeing you on your channel. Hang on. I got tech issues. No, I'm good. I'm good. Hey, everybody in the chat.
Hi, guys.
Hello. Hello, Sheila, Inquisitive, and Celtic Sheila. Woohoo! Hi, Christina.
Hey.
All right. All right. So, anyway, I've been watching you on your channel because Sheila told me about it. She put in a little thing, and I go, Twig Brother. What kind of name is that? Because I'm really into names and making sure everybody has, a proper name to read tarot.
Yeah.
No. So, anyway, it's just, it's just such an honor to have you on. And
well, it's an honor to be here, Danny. Thanks so much for inviting me onto your show.
My pleasure.
I've often watched your videos and your live feeds. It's always an enjoyable read with you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you. And you too. So let's dig into some stuff because one of the things you did was on Merlin, and I put that up in the title. So I do want to get to, is Merlin around? Is he here? Is he back? We're going to save that. And let's read on some just general UK stuff, US stuff, world stuff, and then we'll go into maybe some questions and stuff like that.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, sure.
You got me crying. I'm crying.
Oh, no.
I know. Hang on. All right. All right.
I've been that way because I lost my glasses. These cost like £1, like $1.40.
Yeah.
Because I lost my proper glasses, so I'm nearly crying as well.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. As soon as I turned 40, it was like a light switch went off in my eyes because I was doing so much computer work and everything. Yeah. Hey, Sheila, how are you?
Hey, Sheila.
Yeah, she's out there. Renee. Hey, Renee. And Julie, Linda, Christina. Woohoo. All right. So I pulled a couple of questions and beforehand, and one of the questions I had was, well, first of all, let me double check. Can everybody hear us okay? Can everybody hear us okay?
Me too.
I hear you fine, but the last time I was on, my volume was so low.
Oh, that happens. Someone said she liked my accent, though, so she can hear me, no doubt.
Yeah. You're from Texas, right?
No, I'm from England.
England? Oh, I thought it was Texas.
No, I live in Wales.
Yeah. The land of Merlin.
I'm an Englishman. Yeah. I come from the north of England, up near Scotland, so it's kind of a strange accent.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Makes people listen to you really carefully.
You have to know what I'm talking about, I think.
And I heard when you were on Sheila's channel, I heard that you were studying to be a priest. Is that right?
Yeah, that was a long time ago. That was when I was in my 20s, and it didn't work out, But yeah, I was going to be a priest in the church in Wales, like the Protestant church,
And did you go through training and things like that?
Yeah, I did, Danny, but it kind of wasn't for me, I mean, there's a lot of great truth in there, but it all came down to the money. The money comes from wealthy people who are quite elderly people,
right?
And they would want things done in a certain way, And if sometimes someone would put like £100 in your pocket and just say, get yourself a suit. And you'd have to kind of wear the clothes that they wanted. And I couldn't go along with it all, you know. I believe a lot in the stories of Jesus and everything, but you know, I read the Bhagavad Gita too, and I believe in the Hindu things, and you know, there's a lot in Judaism that I agree with.
Sure.
And you know, I couldn't stand up in front of people and say, you know, you must believe in these exact things about Jesus or you're going to hell. You know, I don't really think it works like that.
No, I don't think so. No.
So
you know, because in the way it works is that man wrote the words down, and then it got revised and revised and revised depending on how much money was in a pocket.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of great teaching in the books. But you know, there's some stuff that I don't agree with as well. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah. So let's look into Smiling Heart. She wants me to confess my sins to you. No.
Okay.
No, I'm not doing it.
Okay, well, I can't forgive them anyway. I got too many of my own.
Oh my gosh, you're not going to forgive me. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh.
Oh no, I'm sure the universe does all this, you know.
Yes. All right, so let's get into some. Okay, that's funny. Let's get into some. There's a big ship. I'm a nautical guy. You know, I love the ocean. I love being out on the ocean. I train people to get in their little teeny boats and go out in the ocean. And when you have a big ship going through a little passageway, you got to be kind of careful. So now, you know, there's a series of canals. The Suez, the Panama are some of the most traveled. And are we? What was the question? Are we, by doing all this trade back and forth, and are we putting? What's the right question? Are we putting our economies at risk by doing so much trade through these canals? Does that sound good?
Sure. Yeah. That sounds very relevant, actually, in the world today. Yeah. I come from a town where we used to build ships, actually, and it all got shut down in the 1980s. But Sunderland, they made super tankers and stuff, you know.
Yeah. Right. And this tanker is as long as a skyscraper, so it's huge, and they were just in I guess 20 knot winds, and the sides of those ships, you just get blown right over. But you would think that they would have had that figured out. That's that canal started in the late 1800s.
Yeah.
It's an old canal.
Yeah, sure is. Yeah.
All right. So let's just see. What's the question? Are we putting our economies at risk by doing so much shipping in the canals? Putting our economies at risk. The world economies at risk. Oh, these are good cards. Wow.
I got some good ones, and I got one I don't understand. I pulled 3 and another one dropped out.
Yeah, okay.
I don't understand the other one, but do you want me to go?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Well, the first one I got, I think sums it all up. It's the 7 of Pentacles. So, you know, it's kind of steady progress, and, you know, there's enough money there, really, enough abundance. But in this particular deck, right, so tarot in Wonderland. I always the camera's flipped. See the tree trunk there, right?
Yeah.
It's choked. It's in a tiny hole in the ground. And so, there isn't enough room for it to flourish. And I think that really answers the question almost in one card. That
it does.
We're over dependent, because there's too much tree growing out of not enough hole in the ground. And the raven's there. So it's not the most positive symbol really to have a raven there. It's a sort of feeling of death about it. But there is still abundance there. So, I guess we'll keep moving. I don't think it's going to be quite as disastrous as people say, but it's sure to put the oil price up. And, nobody wants that. We need that for mobility, and the countries where it comes from need us to be buying plenty of it as well to keep it all going. Yeah. So that was my first one. And then I got 5 of Cups. So it's just like, it's going to be difficult to move on from this. I think this is saying it is actually going to take quite a long time for them to sort it out. They've been talking about months, haven't they? Because they've got to get all the containers off there.
Right.
Somehow. And they've got to do that without breaking the ship. And if they take it off at the ends, then the middle's going to buckle. Yeah. So it's going to be a real long job to sort that out. Real big job. And I can't help noticing this, it is about spilling water out of the cups, really, the whole image there. And she's reaching up, trying to get hold of the water. So that is telling me, Danny, that, the whole thing of using the sea is, it's got to be rethought, you've got to move on from it. It's traditionally like a bereavement card, and it says, that way of doing things has got to change. Right. I remember growing up on Weir side, which is where Sunderland is. And my father worked in the shipyards, so I used to watch the ships being built. And they just got bigger and bigger. They were huge when I was a tiny child, but they got immensely bigger. And it's greed, it's trying to run as much cargo as you can with as few people as you can. So the greed thing was there. And they're going to, there's another side of bereavement. The people who make the most money out of this are going to be really feeling bereaved over it, in a big way. Yeah. And quite. Right. And then I got the Fool's Journey. So it's kind of a new start as the outcome card there. It's interesting. It's a new start, and the Cheshire Cat in these is always Alice's higher self. So we got to look to our own higher selves. I think everyone, not just the money people. Actually, we're all trying to find new ways, aren't we? That are easier on the planet and everything. And I'll throw this one in because it jumped out of the deck. This is the 10 of Pentacles. So it kind of looks like a return for money. It's also, she's having a rest there. So, certainly that adds to the idea that it's going to take a long time. What I don't understand is like the ancestors looking at her here. Which, looking down from above. But I guess somehow the world has been set up to cope with this. I think we might actually find that way back when that canal was first started to be used for this kind of thing, there may be some ideas from back in those days that helped to carry either carry the situation forward or give us some idea how to improve it. But the Fool's Journey is what I'm looking at there. And we have been kind of foolish in a lot of ways to depend on it so much, I think. Yeah. And I got a foolish cat here as well. Say hello, Marcy.
You got your higher self right there.
Yeah, certainly have. Yeah. She doesn't want to look at us, but yeah.
Yeah, well. It's interesting that you pulled those cards because I got very similar cards with this, and I said, is this going to damage the economy, the world economy, some way? There's going to be a lot of bickering going on as far as these narrow little passages that we have to put all our goods and services through. And people are going to start fighting over them a little bit more. I got the 3 of Swords, which is heartbreak, which is, obviously this is causing a lot of money people, the Queen of Pentacles money and the King of Pentacles money, and they are looking at a new way of doing things, a new way of moving their goods through these canals. And I also got the Fool's Journey from my last card. So I'm in agreement with you, and I'm not going to keep going into too much of this, but there's a new way of coming about, of doing this type of moving goods and services. And there's going to be some new way besides just the ocean or these canals. They're going to figure out something else. And I'm not quite sure what that is. Maybe that's a question when we find Merlin.
Could be, yeah.
Could be.
If you, I don't want to talk. Just tell me to shut up if you have to. Okay. There's an ancient legend about to do with Stonehenge, right? It's a mystery how they got all those enormous stones there and stood them up.
Yeah.
But some of the stones in the center of it are called the blue stones, and they came from the Preseli mountain. And if it was daylight, I'd be able to see Preseli out of my bedroom window just in front of me.
Wow.
And the legend is that Merlin flew the blue stones over the sea, and that's how they got there. So, yeah, that just kind of chimed in with what you said about Merlin.
It sure did.
But right. It's going to take magic for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. A little bit. And we're in such it's a stressful time for sure, but we're in this magical time where we're recreating things. We know what is not working so well for us. And I truly believe that a lot of us, with our metaphysical, with our psychic senses opening up and just flowering, that we're going to be creating some new energy for a lot of people to build on as we go forward. So flying ships, flying container ships, I don't know if I'm ready for that, but
yeah, it's going to be difficult. Elon Musk's probably got some ideas, but
probably
a lot of his ideas don't work out. But I think it's going to have to be that radical,
Right.
He's talking about, flying to Mars. I think he's going to have to start flying around the Earth at this point and, do something about that. But, we're going to have to outgrow what we already know. And I think spiritually, I think you're right. We're having a lot of magical ideas, and a lot of people's spiritual senses are coming more and more into play.
Right.
I really think so.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Sherry says, Danny, think of really big drones with cargo falling off of them. Those ships, those big container ships, when they go through rough seas, big containers will fall off of them, and they'll be in the ocean, and they'll be that far under the surface. So you won't really be able to see them if you're motoring through them, especially on a sailboat. Yeah. And so maybe they're like 5 feet below the surface, and you're going like 10 knots, big sailboat. But, you're cruising along and you hit one of these things, it'll rip your keel right off.
Yeah.
And you don't even see it.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
Yeah.
All right.
When you think of I was just going to say, when you think of the Titanic, and they could see the iceberg.
Yeah.
Never mind, But yeah, sure. It's all buried.
Right. So, we're not talking American politics because we're not. We're talking English politics.
Okay.
Because we're going over to your side of the pond.
Sure. I mean, I only really know about Trump because he did stuff in England, but I don't really know what it feels like to be an American experiencing those things,
it feels really bad.
Yeah,
it feels really crappy.
Yeah, I bet.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So let's just do a quick poll on the Brexit. What are you hearing about Brexit over there? Is it, what's going on with Ireland and Scotland? Are they going along with this? Are they gonna want to like do something that I don't know? Yeah, pull out.
Well, in Scotland, they're talking about maybe having another independence referendum and maybe coming back into United Kingdom. Ireland is a different thing because the Irish Republic didn't leave the European Union, and the north of Ireland, well, one little bit of the north of Ireland that we call Northern Ireland, obviously came out with UK because it's still part of it. And the big talk in the news at the moment is about, is there going to be a border between north and south of Ireland, and what's going to happen, And so it's going to be possible maybe for people to ship things through Southern Ireland and bring them into Wales or England that way, and maybe get round some of the taxes and restrictions that are going on that at the moment. But the main thing, I guess, and I would imagine this is the same all over the world at the moment, is the big disease that's going around the world, that we're all getting vaccinated against.
Right.
And the politicians are really being super careful about that. I mean, we have a party in government and they're trying to play everything down. And the opposition aren't really trying to fight them on anything at the moment. So it's kind of hard to know what's going on. Brexit actually happened January of 2020, about the same time that I started seeing stuff on YouTube about what was going on in Wuhan. So the whole momentum of that's really got slowed down, but we really did get left with very little industry through the 1980s and 90s when that shift, that big shift happened.
Right.
And we're kind of hoping that we're going to get some of that back. But everything's just on hold and not being talked much about. That there's talk about getting the industrial north of the country back online, getting factories going again, stuff like that. But these are politicians who don't want to lose the next election. So it's really hard to be sure.
Well, let's read on that. Let's read on if the factories in the north of
UK, of England, really.
Of England, if they're going to get back online and start producing relatively within a year, is that possible?
Well, yeah, they could make a start, I guess.
Well, let's just do the start. Yeah.
Let's throw on it and see where we get.
Let's do the start.
Okay.
Start. Wow. Well, I'll go ahead because I just pulled 3 cards on this. I mean, it could be a big spread. But I got the 6 of Cups going back to a simpler time. So people want to move on this. They want to go back to what they had with jobs, and they want this economy back. And they said, just bring us back to the way that it was. We've got the Queen of Pentacles, which is also talking. And to me, when I pulled this, I said, there is money behind it to get these factories back online. Or is it the people just want to have their money back? I don't think so. I think there's money behind this that really wants them to get these factories back online, get them running again. However, they're not clear on the way forward with it. you know, they're shining lights on a certain thing, but it's really, they're left out in the cold, and they're just trying to figure out how we can do this, you know. So they don't have the plan yet. There's the money, there's the desire, but the plan's not there. So
sure.
I'm kind of going with what you said. Yeah, it's you know, they can maybe start, but I don't even see them starting. Yeah,
I think you're right. I mean, there's it's going to take so much money to do that. I talked about my hometown where they built ships. They closed all the shipyards and built a university to get jobs.
Yeah.
But how many of the guys who could weld things and, you know, bend metal and do all that, how many of them got a job as a college lecturer? You know, it's just, it was such a big pulling apart of things.
Yeah.
It's really, you know, really hard to know what to actually do about it. I drew King of Pentacles first. So there's definitely a possibility of the people in charge actually wanting to share the wealth and share the prosperity. And the politics of that really is that the North was always Labour voters, and they're kind of like the Republican. They're really kind of like the Democrats, you know. They're kind of pro people, you know, they're in favor of people's rights and minimum wage and stuff. But the people we got now are the conservatives, who are a lot more like the Republicans. And this is it, that, you know, they need to be sharing their wealth really with the people in the north of the country who they never really represented before. And that's kind of what needs to happen. And they sort of want to do that because a lot of people up north voted for them. And that's really kind of it's sort of neutralized the socialist side of things quite a lot, you know. So the willingness is obviously there. Then I got 8 of Swords. I'm trying to figure out exactly what this means, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, it would be quite possible for people to make a move here, but they're almost choosing not to make the move, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And very much with this deck, part of the meaning of this is that the game's on. So you can see the playing cards floating around in the scene.
Yeah.
And you can see the faces of some of the cards, and you can only see the backs of the other ones. So there's hidden stuff going on around the game that is actually being played. You know, there's a hidden agenda behind the actual stuff that's going on in the news and all the speeches they're making about how they want to help things. And that, I guess, is the heart of the matter. You know, that is, as you were saying, it's so hard to know what's actually going to happen going forward. Third card I got, 9 of Wands. So, you know, there again, it's kind of inconclusive. There needs to be a big push. And it's probably not going to take all that much work to actually make the push forward and make the thing happen. But, you know, here is, I guess this is the government of the day for my money. That's what I'd say about this, you know, just very defensive. And he's got a pan on his head. You know, it's a bit like kind of a tin hat. You know, the tin hats people wear to stop aliens coming in, really. So there's nonsense being talked in high places for sure. And whether they'll have what it takes to actually make the push and start doing something about the old industries is a big question. But I think we're going to have to, you know, this is one of the things about Brexit. We can't just be the world's banker. I don't think we ever could have been the world's banker, but that's what they were trying for. We just can't do that anymore, you know, because we've gone it alone as an island again. And we've killed all the shipyards as well. So I don't know how we're going to get off the island, but that's what we got to do. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You know, I think that the sooner we realize that we are one world and not individual countries, you know, and start accepting people for, you know, who they are, their positives and their, you know, and their faults, and just be okay with all of that, as much as we can be, the better we're going to be. And the soon as we can get to that, then
I see echoes of that in, reparations being made for racism.
Yeah.
And that's something that needs to happen here. About 3 hours drive from me, actually, just between me and Stonehenge, is Bristol, which was a slave port. And at some point last year, a statue of one of the slave drivers was toppled and thrown in the sea, thrown in the dock off Bristol. And I was great, I was so happy to think that had happened at last. And I was amazed to find that all the politicians were saying, well, you shouldn't do things like that, we should have put it in a museum to remind us of how bad we are. And I just, that just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I was in the forces in my younger day, and there were people of all colours in the forces, and if they had that uniform, they'd done the same training you'd done, that they had a clean record of everything like you had, and you'd trust the guys with your life. And I'm astonished that kind of like 40 years later, people are still thinking that colour or just your country of origin means there's something wrong with some people.
Right.
It's rubbish, It's crazy.
It is. I'm rooting for a basketball coach to run for president.
Yeah.
Because, they work, and I'm just throwing out any coach, any sports team coach, I guess, and maybe I could even expand it, because they have to work with everybody, all different colors, all different races, all different egos. They have to blend them together and win basketball, win football, whatever it is. And I go, well, instead of having a game show host as our president, let's really have a coach of a game be our president.
Yeah.
And get it to work. I don't know. It just seems...
Well, they got the negotiating skills, haven't they?
Yeah. They do. All right. So let's move on. You keep throwing out Stonehenge and Merlin. So let's dig in a little bit. And I don't even know where to go with this question. But I want to look into, I got to find the cards I want to use. I'm going to use my map cards. Let's see if we have any messages from Merlin, if he's around today. And if he has any messages for any kind of magic potions or what he can tell us.
Okay.
All right, Merlin. What do you got going on, Merlin? Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Well, you see that there, right?
Yep.
Just want to know if everybody sees that the cards don't lie. All right. That's all I want to say. All right. What message does Merlin have?
Okay, well, I'm sure he is around, because I heard a voice in my head saying, pull 3 cards, but the first 2 have to be crossed over like that, like there would be in a Celtic cross, you know, 10 card job. So pointing this way up, which is like representing the spiritual axis of where we're going, it's kind of hard to tell because this is a wacky deck, Tarot of the Sephiroth. But this is the Ace of Wands. Yeah. And it's pointing straight up. And this is making me think of like spiritual energy splitting rocks apart. That's kind of what it looks like there.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's the color of water is in there as well in quite a big way. Good idea. And so, I mean, Merlin goes back to a time when water was seen as a real magical thing, you know, where, excuse me, where Stonehenge is built. There used to be a river going right up to it, but the water courses have changed. But we think Stonehenge is there because of the river. And a lot of the legends of Merlin in Wales have to do with rivers and places close to the sea too. So there's obviously, I feel, because that's pushing the rocks apart. That's like that ancient spirituality, pushing apart the structures that we think we've created successfully at this time, but which we're seeing let us down left, right, and center at the present time. And the card going this way is the Queen of Cups, and she's kind of on the life axis, you know, she's kind of going that way. So I'm seeing the divine feminine there. This is making me think goddess energy. We've got flowing water again in such a big way. And this card, it looks a bit like the Temperance card in some ways, just because we got water flowing in a heart shape, which is impossible because water always goes straight down. So this is the life axis, and this is magic. This is pure magic. It's the divine feminine, and we're seeing the divine feminine coming in more and more. And I don't, as a man, I don't feel at all threatened by it. There have been strong women in my life. My mother was a strong woman, and you know, it just doesn't bother me. I think it bothers some of the old structures in quite a big way, but this is the divine feminine, and it's crossing that magical power. So that's kind of what we end up with, something like that. So, you know, both those energies working together. Third card I got was Two of Discs, and really it's the Two of Pentacles. It's called the discs in this card. And here we're seeing a cultural balance again, because we've got something very like the Star of David, which is really the Merkaba, the human light body, the soul light body, but very much like the Star of David at the top, and the pentacle underneath, showing everything coming together, all the energies coming together under the balancing influence of the divine, and the figure of 8 in the middle for eternity. And this is what needs to happen for eternity, really, because the human race is far from done. I know a lot of people think we're about to wipe ourselves off the planet, but you know, people were saying in the 1980s that we wouldn't see the year 2000, and here we still are, and we're getting away with it somehow. Two of Pentacles is always a balancing act, isn't it? A juggling act.
Yes.
And I think this is actually where we are now. But we've got to juggle some magic in there, and we've got to get the divine feminine involved to really bring things into balance. And that is my 3 cents.
That's a pretty big 3 cents, let me tell you.
Thanks.
That's awesome. And thank you, Catherine. Thank you so much. Well, so I pulled 3 too. No, 3 as well.
Okay, yeah.
However, this card popped out, and this is, I'm using my Enchanted Map deck by Colette Baron-Reid. So this just kind of flew out, and I'm a little confused with this card, Follow the Leader. A lot of people do like to follow Merlin and what he says. When he was living, was he, and I don't know that much about him, was he a wizard for the people or just for King Arthur? Or
well, it was kind of, there were 2 sides to it, really. He was to begin with, he was a royal magician for a king, and I forget the details, but the movie Merlin is fairly accurate on that part of it.
Yeah.
But then people say he went crazy. The stories are that he went crazy, and then he ended up working as an alchemist for King Arthur, who may have been kind of Lord Arthur, or may have just been a great military leader. And so it kind of it ties in. It ties into sort of real life and legends and mysteries as well.
Yeah.
And he's always been like that, really, as a character, because it was so long ago. We don't really know. But I mean, yeah, he was. He's been called King Merlin at times, actually. And I live near Carmarthen, which is the Kyre of Merlin, which is where Merlin spent the later part of his life in this part of Wales.
Right.
And they call him King Merlin in Carmarthen history. And there was an oak tree there. And there's still a legend that he sleeps under where that... Yeah, exactly. They say he sleeps under where that oak tree is. And that's what I thought when I saw that, actually. Yeah.
So it's people with... So the message from Merlin to us is that we have to go to the base of this oak tree and kind of get a sense of who he is, and believe in magic again, and believe in that Mother Earth can heal us, that we don't have to look outside, but we can get all of what we need from Mother Earth in this oak tree, and we can get our senses. We can get hits from Merlin here. The three cards I pulled was the Magic Stream, and that just the title when I'm thinking of Merlin. And the second one is Wizard of Awareness, and I'm like, oh my gosh, cards do not lie. And then the third one is Wishing Well. And so adding these all together, it's when you're in this magic stream, you're not going... A lot of times we think we have to fight for something, if it's worthwhile, but that's not necessarily true. We can go with the flow down the stream and be in the magic stream and still find so much abundance without fighting to keep swimming upstream. Because at some point it just becomes ridiculous, because now you got to swim up the waterfall, and that isn't going to work. And being aware, and is this being aware of what the oak tree has to offer? To me, this card, it's more of listening to our spirit guides, listening to tapping into our eighth chakra, who we are spiritually, instead of just always thinking about the physical, going a little beyond. And you can see the coils, the energy above him that he seems to be tapping into. And it's setting his flashlight on fire. That's good. So now he can see in the dark. Yeah. And then if you don't believe in any of that, throw a coin in the wishing well. And, you can make this really simple. It doesn't need to be, from what Merlin's telling me, it doesn't need to be all this elaborate magic. It can be just as simple as making a wish, and that will come true. So
sure, yeah, I really believe that. It's what we think of as magic is, it's kind of a simple thing. I mean, I don't know about you, Danny, but maybe it was similar when you first find that you can read the tarot and get it right. It's kind of like this amazing journey that you go on. But for me, the more I've learned about it, the more it's just kind of obvious stuff in life. And as a spiritualist medium, I nearly always find myself reading signs in the room, you know, things that are actually there in front of me, rather than going on this intergalactic quest. And I honestly think that that's what the 8th chakra is really connecting us with, you know, is kind of stuff that's hidden in plain sight in a lot of ways.
Right.
And of course, the you know, the Earth Star chakra too, connecting us down into the goddess energy.
Oh yeah.
And interesting that we both got a lot of water coming up, water symbolism coming up in the cards there.
Right. Yeah. So that was good. Thank you, Merlin. Yeah.
Thank you indeed. Yeah.
So do you think Merlin reincarnated and is back down on the earth playing guitar? Like in a rock band?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. Let me I got my guitar there. Oh, good American Telecaster as well.
Are you Merlin? You
well,
are.
I think we all have some of Merlin in us, you know. I think he is a part of us. I really think he is a part of us in a big way, Danny.
Yeah, I do. But I'm just saying, I've never seen you and Merlin in the same room. Ever.
Oh, well.
Ever. So
maybe here we are.
Here we are. All right. So what we are at 46 minutes.
Okay.
What do we want to do? What do we want to do? We want to pull some cards for some people out there? Or do you have any other questions on Merlin or?
Well, I not exactly questions, but I'd just like to say a little more about the card you had with the oak tree there.
Okay.
Just that Merlin planted an oak in Carmarthen, and it was there right up until someone poisoned it in the 1850s, and it died in 1859. But they left it standing there.
Yeah.
And it was taken down in the, in the 1970s because it was so dead, and they kept a lot of it. There's a big lump of it in a museum, so it still exists there.
Yeah.
And the legend was that if that tree was ever taken away, that Carmarthen would flood, and it did, and it's flooded every year since.
Really?
So there's the water symbolism. And also that card with the spirals made me think of Chakra Shoku Rei, you know, where you pull that Reiki symbol down over you and draw in the healing, you know.
Yeah.
So it's another 3 cents, you know.
Yeah. Well, maybe someone should plant another oak tree up there, Merlin.
Well, someone did, but it's been taken away. It was in the middle of the road, and now there's a blob of paint for like a roundabout that you drive round. I'm going to make a video of the blob of paint. It's going to be a very quick video, though, just to show where it used to be.
So it won't be like an hour-long video of a blob.
I don't think it will. This is Merlin's blob, I shall say, and point to it.
And did you hear about that guy who sold a JPEG, a computerized picture, for $69 million?
Wow, no, I didn't, but that's crazy.
So you might be sitting on a gold mine by videoing a blob of paint.
I might. Hey, that's a good thought, Danny. Thanks. I'm going to look into that.
Just go with that magic stream.
I will. Hey, I could do with that. I really could.
Yeah.
Buy the internet, you know.
Yeah, right.
Buy Google and, you know, make Google be good again.
Make Google be good again.
I mean, wouldn't that be something, eh?
Yeah. All right. So, what should we do? Anybody have a question out there? Has anybody got a question for us? How do Knights Templar be connected with Merlin?
Oh,
I don't know.
I'd like to throw. Oh, hang on, I dropped a card. Maybe this is the card. I'd definitely like to pull a card on that because I honestly don't know, except to say that I think a lot of these stories go back probably to different times than we think they go back to. You know, history is very sketchy on exactly when someone lived or exactly when these things all happened.
Right.
I wouldn't be at all surprised if there's a connection. But I've never heard of Merlin being involved with the Holy Grail story in a really close and meaningful way, although, you know, he was a great alchemist. And a card through itself there, I got the 5 of Wands, and I'm desperately trying to think what this has got to do with anything. Well, the Knights Templar, you know, they did battle for what they believed to be right.
Right.
And they kind of had a way of gathering up a lot of money and keeping it to themselves, which didn't sit well with King Arthur, whose round table thing was all about moving towards equality, certainly. You know, it was about everyone... it was all the local lords and people having an equal say in things, and that far back in the Dark Ages, I think that was, you know, you could almost call that democracy. So I actually think there's a bit of a tension between the idea of what Merlin stood for and what the Knights Templar stood for. That's what I think. I also think maybe this is telling us it's futile to worry about it, because essentially it's sort of egos, isn't it, really, with the 5 of Wands. Gosh, where am I going with that? Let's pull another card off the top of the pile and see what we got. The Star. Right, so this is, again, bringing us back to the idea of nature. And I guess it's human nature to want to try and relate all these stories together in a way that we understand. I'm sure, though, that, again, we've got the flowing of water symbolism here. And every drop of water in every river in the world is connected to the sea and is connected to every other drop of water. So that's making me think, you know, there is a connection, absolutely, for sure. But it's the peace of nature, really. You know, I mean, the peace, the peace, not the bit,
right.
you know. It's the peace of nature that what really matters. And I believe, actually, that a lot of what the Knights Templar stood for had to do with that. I believe that they were spiritually minded people, essentially. But they were... to me, they were a bit like the modern churches, you know, like the mega churches, where they say, oh, well, you know, we've got all this money because Jesus wants us to have all this money, you know, and I'm a great minister because I own a car factory. And so, you know, obviously God loves me. And I think the Knights Templar were a bit like that. And I don't think they were absolutely on the money. Third card I just turned over, right? And someone's Terry Solaris says, Danny, pull in whether Excalibur was real. And I'm not Danny. But this is the card I got right that second, just as I read that message. Prince of Swords. And he's holding up Excalibur. And they say only a true king can pull Excalibur out of the, or a prince can pull Excalibur out of the stone. But I'll leave that in your capable hands, Danny, because she asked you, not me. I think grabbed it.
I think, you know, I think that kind of answered it. So I pulled, and I'm using some new cards. So I'm not that familiar with them. I pulled 2 on the connection between the Knights Templar and Merlin. And I got this one, and it's Woodwives Adaptability. And I don't know what a woodwife is yet. Somebody in the chat knows. Obviously, I have not read the book, but this card, to me, and it goes back to the oak tree that we were talking about.
Sure,
and so there is some connection, because you can see right there that the little it's the light at the end of the arm or the branch, but it's got digits to it. So there is some kind of connection right there. And then the second card that I got is Feast of Plenty, Choices and Their Consequences. And this, the two swords coming together into one sphere that says that they are connected, but and going along with what you said about they both are trying to strive for the same kind of higher source, but going on different paths to get it. I think that's what this card is referencing there. So I don't know anything more except, I do think that they're connected, but is there so the Knights Templar was protecting the Ark of the Covenant, is that right?
That was the idea, yeah.
And that's still not found?
Apparently not.
Well, let's look to see if we can get a card or two to see if it is real. And thank you all for the donations. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Is the Ark of the Covenant still around? Is the Ark of the Covenant still around?
I need a wood wife, by the way, because I'm Twig Brother.
You do.
Yeah.
And what did you think of my art to announce this? Those were divining rods, because a twig is a divining rod for you, right?
Yeah.
And so I pulled that off of a bottle of wine.
Wow.
Red wine. That was their label. And I went, check that out. That's awesome, because it looked like two twigs.
Right. Great.
I didn't have to do much except steal it. I don't know if that's good or bad.
Well, if you were meant to have it, the universe wanted you to have it.
Yeah, I changed it. I changed it enough so that I wouldn't get in any trouble. All right. Okay. Ark of the Covenant doesn't exist. Talk to me about it. Wow. I'll go unless you're ready to go.
I don't mind. I don't mind.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Excuse me. Right. First card out, Ace of Swords. So there's a lot of alchemy in deciding, what we're actually going to believe about this. And there are so many answers out there, potential answers, as it were, about the Ark of the Covenant. I've seen, as I guess a lot of us have seen, there's a TV show about, the science. They kind of reconstructed it from the pages of the Bible, from the instructions in the Bible that were given to Moses. And the thing did actually throw electric sparks. And the first time they tried that was a few hundred years ago, and they had to have it destroyed because no one could go near it. It was killing people, So it's a real thing. It's just a question of whether we can actually believe that it's a real thing. I feel this is telling us that there are people out there who actually know, but it's like too big a thing to release on the human race, because everyone would dismiss it. Everyone would think it's crazy.
Right.
A lot like, I think we're all of us and everyone in the chat and, all the readers, we're all kind of blessed because we get to know that this is real. And so many people go through their lives without ever realizing how real a thing magic is. So Ace of Swords, there's a decision to make, people know more than they're letting on, basically. Middle card, 5 of Pentacles. So that makes me feel it's, again, like it's hanging in the balance, 5 of Pentacles is, it's abundance that's halfway to nowhere, stuck in the elevator, if you know what I mean. And it's just who's going to free up the elevator and when is it going to start happening? Also, just the graphic on this card makes me think of the streets of Ethiopia. Actually, as someone pointed out that it's believed to be in Ethiopia, and I could work with that. I could wear that. I really could. But again, it's Pentacles. It's earth, air, fire, and water, controlled by the divine, and controlled by the divine is the key thing here. Just like Noah's Ark, they're pretty sure they found Noah's Ark, but which story was it from? How long ago was it? It's all stuff that somehow we've got to bring ourselves to believe and understand. Third card, 9 of Cups. So it's going to happen. We're going to get our wish. We're going to know all about it someday. Quite likely in our lifetime, looking at this. And again, this is making me think like in the Pentacles with the divine. Excuse me, I've got a cough tonight. With the divine looking down and kind of bringing love into the situation. And, it needs to be a loving... oh, excuse me. It needs to be a loving kind of a world for that magic to really work, And I think we're getting there. I think we're working on it. And that's why I think it's going to be in our lifetime.
Yeah, there it is. All right. Well, I'm glad that you went first, because I pulled, I'm using 2 different decks. My Shamanic Dream deck, my new one. And this is Repairing the Veil, which I thought was, and it's all about forgiveness. The next card I got was Lost Compass, getting back to integrity. And so with these 2 cards, I'm going, it's here, but we have to repair ourselves, and we have to, the veil, but that the arc will lead us to. I mean, it's getting thinner and thinner, this veil of
all the time.
Right, all the time. And so as soon as we repair that veil, where and I'm not sure exactly how it's broken. I just know that I'm being more aware that it's thinner and thinner. But obviously there is some repair that needs to be done with that. In getting back to our integrity, well, that could be the veil. With our last 4 years, where if you tell a lie enough, it becomes truth, right? That's not integrity. I mean, there's just none. There's no, it's like if you say something that I disagree with, well, I'm just going to go off on you before I even try to understand what you really are meaning.
Sure. Yeah.
And then I'm using, and this is the deck that we both use, and this is
yeah.
I love this deck. I didn't think I was gonna like it. I was going, this is a girl deck. I'm not gonna like this. Seeing how people are gonna like, it is awesome. It is awesome. Yeah. So this is break the chain, ancestral patterns, healing, rewriting the future. And so it could be stuck in a cave somewhere that they're looking at, but the message is still super, super powerful about ancestral patterns and breaking the chain. And with this arc, rewriting the future. And then it's all about awakening.
Yeah.
And I'll just leave it at that, because I do think it's around. I think it's hidden. These two cards tell me the compass, and in the cave tell me that it is hidden in a cave somewhere, if I was to just throw something out there. But we're not ready to receive it. When we repair the veil and when we go to our awakening, or it will help us with our awakening when we get it.
Yeah.
So.
Sure.
Cool.
Yeah, to me that's a lot like what I found about spiritualism. That's kind of the main. Well, before all the churches got closed down, that was the main kind of thing I did. And I'm always trying to make links to people on the other side, and so many people, when they come back, when I'm doing a church service and someone speaks from the other side, one of the first things they'll say is, I didn't believe all this stuff, but it's real. And it's a transition, and it is a great awakening when people go to the other side. And we were talking about, is Merlin still around? Well, I'm sure he was an eternal soul, like anybody else.
Yeah.
And all that wisdom, it gets hidden by the process of death, but it never really goes away. And if you really, make the honest intention of connecting with that energy truthfully and openly, I think there's so much to gain,
Yeah.
I wish the human race would wake up faster, but it's taken its time. Yeah.
Wake up. Let me shake them. Wake up. Yeah. And it's, I've been reading things on past lives. And I'm doing a Sunday with Spirit on that. I don't know if I did it justice, because I'm so new into digging into that. And it's just a history, a bit of a history book all our lives. And we get to take parts of it and enhance it, or we get to take the parts that we didn't like and go, I can't let this be part of my new life. It's our choice that we get to make today from our past lives. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm going in a different direction, but it's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
pretty awesome to go.
I hear you.
Yeah. All right. So we are at 1 hour and 7 minutes.
Okay.
Let's do one more. And what should we do? Well, we'll do one for Jazzy Sophie wants to know if we believe aliens have kidnapped people. If aliens have kidnapped people. I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, I'll throw some cards on it. I just think got to find the deck I grabbed was ice cold. So I'm like, nah, maybe not that one.
Yeah, I have the wrong deck too, but I've got the right one here somewhere.
So, number one, I do believe that we are not the only people in this universe.
Sure.
It's just too big. We make experiments on all our creatures around us. So why wouldn't an alien, whatever that term is, why wouldn't they make experiments on us? Right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Right? I mean, if we have, I was watching, who is that, Neil deGrasse, and he was saying that our DNA is like 1% different than a chimpanzee. 1% different. But our thought process, what we think we can do, we think it's 100% better than a chimpanzee. So if an alien has 1% difference in DNA than us, imagine what they're thinking, how stupid they think we are. And that, oh yeah, they're just, we can make experiments on them. Yeah. So anyway, I'll pull some cards though and just see.
Okay.
Do aliens kidnapping and making experiments? Go ahead if you got it.
Okay. Well, I've gone into Keepers of the Light here, you know.
Oh.
So it seems like a good deck to link up. First card I pulled 3. First card I got Kalimar, Facing Fear. And it says, major spiritual changes are unfolding. This is your chance to soar. And this is making me think, actually, I've very often come across the question, you know, are angels and spirit guides, are they really aliens actually in disguise? And I don't think they're in disguise. This is making me think they're all part of the same thing, whether they're different entities or just different expressions of the same thing. Who's to say? We don't know. It's hidden from our everyday eyes in this world. But it's a big fear for a lot of people. Because we think, you know, angels are good, aliens are kind of gonna, you know, put instruments inside us, and you know, it's not going to be good. But at the same time, you know, when we think of angels and spiritual entities, there is a dark side to that too. So could these be the same thing? Could they just be playing into different people's minds in different people's ways? But it's Facing Fear, and she's got a lot of skulls on there too. And I think that's telling me we're going to kind of find out more about this as we go forward. The scientists have lots of reasons. I think it's called the Fermi paradox. Some scientific load of reasons why it's physically impossible for aliens to ever actually reach us. But it's all based on science, you know, and scientists don't know why the Big Bang happened. They got a lot of answers to stuff. But if you ask a scientist, why would there be life on Earth? In fact, if there was nothing, why would there even be such an idea as nothing?
Yeah, right.
Just the fact that there's either something or nothing says that there's something great, something we don't understand. Like a chimpanzee doesn't see everything that we understand. There's, you know, a greater intelligence that, as you say, you know, sees so much further into these things than we ever can. But it's fear that holds us back, you know. And when I hear of some people's tales of abduction, I'm not surprised that they have fear. I was going in to do trance mediumship once, and I saw an alien, and I came back. I pulled myself back awake pretty quick. It was scary, to be honest. But, you know, are they really people to be feared? Are they entities to be feared? Or are they just something we don't understand? Fear, big part of it, though. Second card, I got Odin, Psychic Insight. And Odin is a great warrior. He's got a history around this area as well. About a mile from here is Alter Odin, which is the hill of Odin. Anyway, right, it says, your third eye is open. See truth for what it is. Follow your intuition. Yeah, and that really comes on nicely from the idea of facing fear, because the Facing Fear card is about spiritual changes unfolding. It says, this is your chance to soar. You're not going to soar if you're not willing to allow your third eye to open to all these possibilities. That's when we'll actually see things. And Salome says, damned Norse got everywhere. Yeah, they certainly did. I'm descended from Norsemen myself. So yeah, you wouldn't think it would, but I am. Square jaws. Third card, Bridget, inner strength. And she's a great protector, is Bridget. Beautiful energy. And she says, move back to wholeness. Recognize that you have the power. And there's the antidote to all this fear we have. Because whatever's going on in the alien sphere, human beings have been given this amazing ability. We think of ourselves as above the animals. And certainly when I'm with my cats, I often think they've got a lot more sense than any of us have. But we've been allowed to make all these achievements. So whoever or whatever is in charge of the universe has been letting us have our head, and will keep on letting us have our head. So we got to use that inner strength to face those fears. And that relates so closely to Odin and his psychic insight, because Odin really was kind of the god of war in so many ways, the husband of Freya, you know, the male energy of Saxon witchcraft. Yeah. So that's my like 30 cents there. I couldn't stop.
I know, it was good. Don't
Thank
stop.
you.
Don't
Thank
stop.
You.
So
Okay.
I got a little different take, but it's the same kind of energy flow with it. I got Starseed for the first card that I pulled. And so yes, they are, I mean, there are aliens, there are other beings out there. And it says, what lights you up? So it's not a fear, it's a stepping in. So for some people it'll be fear, for other people it'll be, you know, just the excitement of meeting somebody and saying, hey, can we do some experiments, talk to it? Maybe it's verbal experiments, I don't know, you know, but and then I got Priestess. What are you being called to step up and lead? How are you being called to step up and lead? But when I looked at this card, what I got was more of a feeling of a doctor, of a medical, of a high priestess digging in and doing some work with her hands, Reiki work, or some energy work that it may not be slice and dice with us as far as experiments, but it's energy work with us. And then the last card I got was Inner Temple, devotion, and tune into the portal of your heart, which goes along very much with what you were saying, you know, that, you know, we can, you know, there's a fear in there, or there cannot be. If we trust our inner guidance, it's just another experience. When I walk down the street, I'm not afraid of, well, these days I might be, but I'm normally not afraid of, you know, getting attacked, you know, by getting hit by a car. I'm aware of it, but that's not what I'm focusing on. So if an alien, some being that comes down in a meditation or something, is that something I should be really afraid of, or should I step into that light and just say, hey, here I am? You know, I don't know. I think I'd be scared to death myself. But what lights you up? What are you being called to step up and lead? How are you? And tune into the portal of your heart and experience that alien. So
yeah, kind of makes me think of the Pleiadians, you know. The Palladians, sometimes people say it, but you know, light beings from the Pleiades. I mean, if they're from the Pleiades, they're aliens for sure. But yeah, there's a great healing meditation on YouTube by Steve Nobel about the Arcturian healing chamber, and he kind of calls in all the angels, and then you go on this guided meditation to the Arcturian healing chamber, and you know it's pure light, you know, pure light.
Yeah.
And
So maybe they're trying to fix us, you know, with their experiments. All right. Well, I need to get running. Let's pull a card for the group as we leave. And I'm going to use my new deck because I'm liking it.
Yeah, that's a nice deck, actually.
Yeah.
I think AQ has got that deck. I think she showed me it a couple of days ago.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I think so, anyway. Yeah.
You know, it's the title might be a little misleading, but then again, this is the second time that I've used it, so I may be misleading. But it's more of just a beautiful oracle deck. That's kind of what I thought.
Yeah, it's beautiful looking. Has a nice energy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm using Moonology, which is my newest deck. This one,
nice.
Actually.
Yeah.
And on my live feeds, I always use this to pull a card for the group. Usually at the beginning and then again at the end.
Yeah.
So.
And AQ does have this deck. Nice.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does. Right.
All right. One for the group. As we leave, one for the group. All right.
For sure. Okay.
All right.
Well, I got expect powerful change, new moon eclipse. When you think of the subjects we've been talking about tonight, you know, on the one side of it, the presence of Merlin and all that magic, is that going to come back into our lives? The question of aliens and all the political stuff, you know, the ship in the Panama Canal. It's all about powerful change, so I'm sure we can expect it. And it's the new moon eclipse card. Well, it's nearly full moon now. Full moon is tomorrow. What is that in Leo? It's going to be in Virgo, I think. I think the moon's just moved into Virgo for that. So, you know, this isn't the actual moon phase right now, but I think it's a good analogy of where the human race is at the moment, because, you know, when all that was going on with Trump, one thing was for sure in all the uncertainty, something had to change, and now it is doing. And that's just one example. But expect powerful change, guys. That's where it's at in my reading for everyone.
Yeah. And that thing with Trump that we keep forgetting, change is really messy. It's not smooth. It's you know, you make mistakes, you go back 2 steps, forward 4, you know, so it's just so unsure of, and we're getting there day by day by day by day. We're smoothing it out, but it takes some time. And what I got for you all, for us all, is Dragon's Horde, which just made me chuckle because we were talking about Merlin and wizardry and all of that. And it's protecting the future. And so when I look at this, it looks like the dragon has the keys to light, and that the keys are just dangling a little out of reach, but they're not like in the dragon's. What is it? What does a dragon have? Claws? Hand?
Yeah, claws.
Claws? Yeah. Okay.
The animal of Wales is the dragon.
Yeah. America, we have the animal. Well, I don't even know what our animal is. The eagle, but anyway. Yeah. Yeah.
They both got claws.
They both have claws. Yeah. But this one, it's like the keys are dangling. We don't have them in our claws yet, but we can protect the line to those keys. And and then there's crystals all down at the bottom, different colored crystals that are and they're like eggs. And so there's something that we have that we really need to protect, that we can't let go of. And I think it's our heart space, not to be hardened by no moonlight, the eclipses of the moon, so just hang in there.
Great. I saw a carnelian in the middle of those crystals on that one as well. At least I think I did.
A carnelian?
Yeah, it's that kind of amber color.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. So, that's a beautiful deck. I'm going to get that deck.
Yeah, it's really pretty, and it's matte, so it's got a real nice texture to it. Good nice feeling. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody in the chat, and thank all the moderators. Thank you guys so much, and the people that have given us some donations. Just appreciate it, and just hanging out with us. So thank you. All right, thank you guys. And again, great night. So we'll see you all.
Night. Yeah. Thanks so much, Danny, for letting me meet your people. It's brilliant. Pleasure. I really enjoyed this,
Yeah. And you have your live readings where you actually do cards for people on your chat. I was trying to get to them. We just didn't. So we'll try again.
Okay. Well, I'm live Wednesdays and Fridays, 9 p.m. UK, and we spring forward tomorrow. So 9, 3, it's going to be 1 p.m. Pacific.
Okay.
And 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow and Wednesdays.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to come along,
I'm going camping tomorrow for the next 2 days. Yeah, so I'm going to stand on the San Andreas Fault.
Right
on it.
Wow.
So if I don't come back and there's a little shaker out here, I may have just dropped in.
Oh, Merlin will save you. He's got his energy down there for sure.
Yeah. All right, you guys. Thank you all again. And we'll talk soon. Okay.